and we will discuss about the IoT Valley, right?
Yes.
And a concept pretty interesting. At one point we'll cover the do it Ocracy, right? But I think we'll start with a few slides first.
Okay. So hello everyone. IoT Valley. It's a IoT B2B startup ecosystem, which means we are hosting 40 startups with 700 people, and in a 12,000 square meter building. So we just do IoT on the B2B market. And since the last 5 years, we have had 25% of growth every year. We started, as I said, in 2015. The IoT Valley was co-founded by Ludovic Lemont, Sigfox CEO. And it is based in Toulouse, in the south of France. So to understand better what we do at the IoT Valley, this picture that sums up our model. So I don't know if you see it well from there. Otherwise, we have a booth there, so I can explain a bit better everything to you. But basically, we start from problems that we find in big and medium companies in France or in international. So we go to their offices, we go to their factories, we go to their building, we ask a lot of questions, we try to really deep dive into their work and understand what are the problematics, what are the costs that they cannot reduce, what are the loss of productivity that they could have. We ask a lot of questions. And as soon as we find a precise definition of the problem, we look everywhere in the world if a startup already solved this problem. If we find a startup, then we make sure that the startup works well with this company. So we do project management, we organize meetings, we make sure that they work well, because we know that if we don't do that, 99% of chance that it won't work. So that's what we do. If we find a startup that already solved the problem somewhere in the world. If there is no startup solving this problem, then we start a process of creating this startup. We analyze the market, we make sure that a lot of companies have the same problem. Then we build a prototype from the software platform to the hardware. We try to buy the hardware off the shelf so it goes way faster. So in 2 months, we can have a full working prototype. Then we find founders, so a team of founders. We have a process to detect the people that have an entrepreneur potential. And after that, we do a pilot with the company and try to scale the team, help them to raise funds, to hire the good people, and then to scale as fast as possible.
So you mentioned the sourcing of problem, right? And there's a lot of problem, especially in a corporate, a lot of things need to be solved. Can you tell us a little bit more, how do you precisely do that part to have them to really talk to you, right?
Yeah, it's a bit hard because people usually start telling you the solution that they have in mind. So what we do is we go to their factories. For example, we are working, one of our partners is aircraft manufacturing in Toulouse. So we go to the factory. We gather all the people involved. It could be the factory director to the people who is assembling the pieces in the factory. And we ask them, what is the worst day for you at work? So they start telling us stories about this thing that didn't work, or the pieces that are missing, or whatever. And during this day of investigation, we say that if someone is telling the word solution, he has to do 20 push-ups. So we make sure that we only focus on the problem. So we make them talk a lot. We try to understand what is the cost of this problem for them, how much money they lose, or how much money they are wasting. And after that, we come back, we think a lot, we keep the discussion going, we make workshop to think about a solution that we could provide for them.
And I think in that case, the one you mentioned, the aircraft company close to Toulouse, right? They also have their own system to build company also for themselves. They also have their own incubator, accelerator, and etc. So it's also interesting they still also have this complementary approach, talking with you to build more things for them. So I think something you touched base also briefly, and I would love to go a little bit deeper into it, is a project management. because there's a lot of discussion between a startup and a corporate, and just a discussion may die 1,000 times. Then there's a lot of POC. It looks like you have a slightly different approach. Can you tell us a bit more about the success rate of your POC and how do you make that work? Because I think we also have maybe some larger company here, or on the startup side working with corporate. What could be some good advice for them to make that work?
Yeah, this is something that we have experienced. It's really, really hard because the two structures are completely different. They don't have the same timeline, they don't speak the same language, they don't have the same urgency of doing things. For a big company, if they don't do that, nothing really happens. So maybe in 10, 20 years, but it's not urgent. For startups, it's different. If you don't make deals really fast, then you die. So that's why it's completely different. So what we try to do is first talk to the big directors from the medium and big companies and make sure that we are on the same page on the strategy regarding innovation in their company. Then we talk to the workers, to the work field people, and we try to really understand the problematics and to really focus on the cost-killing solution, and to first try to have a win-win situation to implement something that is going to work really fast. So usually we don't start the relation by creating startups. We start the relation by project management with startups that we already have in the IoT Valley, which we can be implemented really fast. And then we set up the meetings. We make sure that the startup slides are well done, that they have the right price, that they can fit on the budget that the company have in mind. We are in between those two to make sure that everybody is happy and everything works.
You're doing the lubrification between the two and doing the translation to be sure everything works well. Yeah. Amazing. So you also mentioned, I think it's very interesting, that approach to if it does exist, no need to build it again. So first you do that sourcing of problem, then you do the sourcing of potential startups, but you don't stop there. A lot of people would just stop there and say, is it a startup? Yes, no, or maybe ask a startup to twist a little bit the product, but you go even further. When it doesn't exist, you just build it. Can you tell us more about that process of building from scratch companies for corporates?
Yeah. The first thing really important is the market analysis. We used to say something that if we find less than 1,000 potential customers in France, then we won't create a startup, because it would be a customization for the client, and it's not a startup model, so it's not what we do. After this market analysis, we start designing what would look the solution. So we have UX and UI designers inside the team. We design the platform, go back to the client, show the platform. Are they okay? Are they willing to pay for a pilot? If no, then we stop. Otherwise, we go on. And then
so you don't do free pilots?
No, never.
Never. Okay, never free pilot. So if you're corporate, you pay. If you're a startup, you take the money. Don't forget that part.
Of course, agree on that. So yes, we design the platform, and when we are sure that the platform answers the need and really solves the problem, that we start developing. And the good thing is that we have built over the years a lot of different bricks for software solutions. So we are now able to have a up and working solution in 2 months, which is really fast with all the hardware, software, and everything. So from the problem that we find to the starting of the pilot, it could be done in 2 months, which is really fast. Whatever the problem is, as soon as there is IoT inside.
So first you look at the market. First you look at the solution, which is the problem, and then the market, and then it's about the team. So then how do you find, that is always a key component, right? You can have the bigger market ever, you can have the best solution, but then how do you find that team of 1, 2, 3, or maybe do you have a religion there of how many they should be as co-founders? And how do you find them, and how do you do the handover of that project to them?
Yeah, this is the big challenge for us, to find the right people that have an entrepreneur mindset, that are going to be willing to listen to you and to your advice, that are willing to take chances as well, because it's a big risk when you quit your job to start a company. So this is something really challenging. We have different ways of communicating about. At the IoT Valley, you can come without any idea. You can come without any team. You can You just have to have the right mindset and being willing to take chances, as I said. So we organize, for example, a formation, so 3 days training to become an entrepreneur. So it's done for free for the people that want to do that. So we have entrepreneurs inside that are going to make you understand what is the startup creation process from day one to the first raise of money, and so 2 days learning what is the startup model, in which way it's different from any other company. What is the process, and the last day you are going to, I would say, build the first company. Like it's fake, but like starting to work on your company.
So that is the last 24 hours where you're pushing them to build something.
Yeah, from 6 p.m. to to 6 p.m. the next day. Yeah, full time.
So you mentioned some qualities, but I know there's slightly more. Which kind of the top qualities you look at those people? What are the few traits you think are the key components?
Yeah, it's really hard because there are many different kinds of good entrepreneurs. But what we see that is common to everyone is first the ambition, because we are building startups. We are not building small companies or bakeries or stuff like that. We are really focusing on startup model, which is an exponential growth and a worldwide impact.
So that would be the difference between a startup and SME or SMB. Is a speed of growth of the company, right?
Exactly.
Nothing wrong, but your focus is on the startup. You want something being big.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, that's our ambition. So we look for ambitious people, which is pretty hard to find, at least in France, but it's maybe changing a little bit. So that's what we focus on the first time. We focus also on people that are hard worker, because nothing comes easy, especially when you're creating a startup. You have a lot of problems. It's a roller coaster every day. So people that are willing to invest a lot of time, energy in their project.
But for example, just this one, how do you know? Because people say, yeah, I work hard, I work 6 days a week, or in China they talk about the 996 is like 9 a.m., 9 p.m., 6 days a week. But how do you know that really hard worker? How do you assess that?
We have a process. We are making them pass tests. It could be logical test. It could be comportamental test. As well, we give them exercise. We see that also during the 3 days formations training. If it's something that you feel, it's something that you see as well. We look as well for people that are obsessed. That you give them a problem, and as soon as they don't find the solution, they won't sleep. So it's really having an obsession. Entrepreneurs that are really obsessed about something are usually good entrepreneurs as well.
I think another one that Bertrand just here with Simon was mentioning is also time commitment, not just like hard work on a daily basis, but also for the next 5 years. So that is also a tricky one to assess, right? I think if you're obsessive about something, you may spend the next 5 or 10 years, but that is another trait you look at, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's creating a startup doesn't work in 2 years. You have to know that it's going to be you are going to be involved in that during the 5 or 7 upcoming years. So it's a commitment, as you said. It's being able to take the chances at the beginning, work hard, stand up when you fail, and yeah.
So, going back to a question about the number of founders, do you have any religion on that? Do you think it should be 2 or 3 people to be co-founder of a company? Or do you think like Alibaba is 18, right? So it's kind of a crazy one. Some companies only a solo founder. Where do you see some good dynamic on at least on the team you are building out of the IoT Valley?
Yeah, 1 doesn't work. 2 is great. 3 is, I think, the best. And so it's just 2 or 3 people.
So do you think the 1 doesn't work because also he's maybe not able to sell the ID to someone else to join him?
Yeah, that's part of the solution, but I would say more because it's too hard. The everyday life of an entrepreneur is too hard. So when you are done, you have to have someone that is up and then can cheer you up and help you to see the future in a brighter way.
So to add on a trait you mentioned, will you add the sales skills or the storytelling skill as something key as a way to build those company, or not so much?
Yeah, definitely. The first founder that we look for when we create a startup is the CEO. Is someone that has this ability to sell the product even if it doesn't exist already. So that's something really, really important. And then afterwards, we look for the CTO.
So that is a minimum team. Will be the CEO with sales for selling to corporate, selling to recruit the team, selling to VC to raise money, and then you get the CTO to build it.
Yeah, because we know that on the market, technical people are really hard to find. I don't know if it's the same here, but in France it's super hard. So we look for the person that is able to sell. As we have already built a prototype inside the IoT Valley, he can already sell something that is working. So the CTO can come a little bit afterwards.
So then when you reach that phase, one of the biggest challenges is to get your first few customers. And then what happens is you're maybe 2 months old company with 2 fresh entrepreneurs, and you just have an MVP or a working product. How do you do that first sale?
First, we have, as we have already found the problem in a company, they already have one client. So it's that they can still upsell this client, but they already have a client-customer relationship with them. We have also a lot of partners at the IoT Valley that we could introduce them to. And as well, we set up a lot of tools for them, which is part of the design. We set up the financial tool, the selling tools, everything that they are up and working when they start a startup. They don't have to Google what is the best CRM to start my company or whatever. They don't have to ask themselves a lot of questions. We give them the tool and say, okay, go. Now you go on LinkedIn, you find the customers, you take your phone, you call them, and we'll see.
So your tip is calling, not email, no.
Yeah, of course, it's both.
No, I mean, just because some people stopped calling is why I think it's still a good channel, and I think it's why it was interesting you mentioned it.
Yeah, usually you email before calling, but yeah.
So I think maybe can you tell us a bit more about this IoT Valley network? So then when that company starts, they're part of that network. Which kind of value do they get? So you mentioned it's like 40 other companies around them.
Yeah, the first you have a community of entrepreneurs that are willing to share what they have lived, the problem that they have solved. So it's really something really strong at the IoT. It's the transmission between entrepreneurs and employees as well. So this is the first value. And then you have a team, our team with Bertrand, which is 35 people. And their job is to help the startup to grow as fast as possible. So we have designers, we have developers, we have business developers, we have financial people that are helping our startup to grow every day. So it's.
Would you say you kind of help them to really focus to talk to their client or prospect
and
build
on the
product, building it? Everything else is kind of you help to support that because it's less core and you want them to focus.
Yeah, for example, when you start a company, you have to have a logo, you have to have a brand image, you have to have some kind of stuff that is this really the most important thing when you start? No. So we take care of everything. We have designers that build a logo, find the name, I don't know, create your first PowerPoint slides, everything. So
also, I think you have some interesting tradition in a way. Yesterday, you showed me a picture with people wearing some orange bucket hats, right? If we can go back to the slides.
I don't know. Yeah.
Which I was feeling that is a bit weird. I was like, is it not the most stylish thing? Or maybe it was something around Toulouse to do that. So basically, they got a picture where everyone is wearing the same orange hats. And so can you tell us more why you do that? Is it any reason behind that?
Yeah, definitely. So first you have to understand this picture there are students on this picture. It's because we launched 6 months ago a program which is an incubation program for students. Wait for it, maybe it's working.
Yeah, you can just press.
Yeah, no. Well, whatever. So we launched an incubation program for students. So we mixed the student skills from students from business schools, students from. Okay, the picture is not that good. So we mix students from different backgrounds, different schools, and we help them during 6 months to launch their startup and to have the entrepreneur mindset. And one of the key things to be a good entrepreneur is that you have to kill your ego. If you have ego, it's not going to work. So what we say that you have to wear this hat, and if you succeed in wearing this hat, it means that you don't have ego anymore.
So for how long do you need to wear it?
It should be 6 months.
Every day. Otherwise, 20 push-up or?
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, I think you have good ideas how to punish
I think
people.
it's what you do for people to talk about solution, right? So can you tell us more about that program you are running for students now in France?
Yeah. We found the problem that there is more and more students that want to create a company every day. The problem is that when you are a student, you create a company on something that you know. And when you are a student, you know about dating, food, sports, and traveling. That's the only subject that you know. And launching this kind of company is a bit hard. When you're a student, you don't know about the industry problems, about the supply chain, about the, the smart building stuff. You don't know anything about that. So you create companies on usually things that are not really problematic or on market that are super hard to address. Second problem is that you build your company with people that you know. It means that your friends from the engineering school or your friends from the business school, and at the end you are a startup with 3, 4, 5 co-founders, all engineers, no one knows how to sell, and it doesn't work. So we created this program, mixing all the skills, all the backgrounds, 6 months, and focusing on people, focusing on every one of them has to have the entrepreneur mindset at the end. So we make them live every month an intense experience to understand better what is to be an entrepreneur. So for example, the first month, we bring them to the mountain, and they have to survive during 1 week. Second month,
Wait, they need to survive. But what do you mean by survive? Do you just drop them there, no water, no food, and
No.
good luck, we come back in 1 week? Or
it's not
how
that
does that
hard.
work?
No, it's not that hard. We give them a direction to go to the top of the mountain, and they have, I'd say, games or stuff to do on the way. But it's not.
So it's more about remove them from a well-known environment
Yeah.
and make them go through difficult time together to build like stronger bonds.
Yeah,
also.
exactly. You see a lot of things during those moments because some of them don't do sports, some of them have never been to the mountain, and you see which one is helping the other, which one is going straight to be the first one. You can feel a lot of things.
So even if during that first one, before you mentioned the other one, but this one, do you start to see emerging who would be the leader, who could be the CEO? Do you see who's taking leadership that maybe you should have guessed before?
Yeah, as I told you, you see a lot of things. You see the people that are not going to listen as well. You told them something to do and they don't do it. So that's maybe the worst kind of.
Isn't part of entrepreneurs? Entrepreneurs don't really follow the rules, no? Or
They have to have this hacker mindset, but as well they have to listen to someone that also already been through this problem. And if you don't listen and you always do all the same mistake by yourself, but you may be gonna learn, but you are going to maybe die 10 times before achieving your goal.
so that is the first month. What happened for the remaining 6? Like those tough experiences?
Yeah. The first one is tough. The other one are different. The second one is we teach them how to play poker with a professional team player to understand how to read minds, how to behave in a stressful situation. And it's really interesting for them. They were yesterday in a big tournament in France. I hope they win. I don't know yet. Yeah, so this is the second month. Third month is we organize a retreat. So it's 1 week. They are go to I don't know the name of this place, but a quiet place in the country yard. They cannot talk the 1 week. They do 8 hours meditation every day, and this experience is to better know themselves, better know what the thing they have to learn about themselves, the problem that they have to overtake, and.
So during that time, you get very young adults, like 23, 24
Yeah.
years old. Do you also remove smartphone for 1 week?
Yeah, of course.
And how do they go through that?
I don't know yet. It's going to happen soon. So it's the first one is not done already.
So I think what is very interesting is what you mentioned is a lot of people when they're at school they build more B2C companies, and the gap is B2B, but you have an additional gap is B2B and hardware plus software. So that I think is a very complex thing to help them to leapfrog and understand those things.
Yeah, but again, we have 40 startups that have done that before, so and that are willing to explain you what the thing that you have to do, the thing that you have to avoid, and as we focused on the beginning of the startup on buying hardware off the shelf, it's easier. You don't have to build the hardware, which is the more difficult thing. You don't have to choose the PCB, the components, talk to the manufacturer. No, you just buy the hardware. Here is the perfect place to to do your market, to find the right hardware. So you buy the hardware, you focus on the product. You know that your hardware is a bit expensive at the beginning, that it doesn't do exactly what you want, but it's good enough to start. And after you raise 1 million, 2 million euros, then you can start thinking of building your own hardware. You already have customers, you know better the problematics, you know better the sector that you are working on. So you will be better in designing the best hardware. And
that is kind of an indirect call. If anyone have great hardware and you want company to buy it and use it, you can just talk to Simon and you may find a startup using it for different application, right?
Exactly.
And so what next can we see about that? Do you think then is maybe something you want to scale to corporate? Because we also see more and more corporate looking at entrepreneurship and they want to change mindset in a company. Do you consider, I will be a corporate, I will be approaching you and asking you, can you do that for my employee? Maybe not 6 months full time. That would be very cost intensive.
Yeah, I think it's more the training that I talked to you about before that is interesting for big corporates.
The 3 days.
The 3 days, because people already know they have already worked in the company. They know a lot of things regarding how to do business. They know the sector that are going to target, and things can go faster than 6 months. I think that it would be the best solution for them.
That is only in France, or if we're based in Asia, we can contract you to run those 3 days?
Yeah, at the moment is only in France, but we think about expanding here in Singapore, in Asia, or in other places in the world. Especially the Ocracy is something that we want to spin off. It's something that we build inside the IoT Valley, but this year we are going to open a new city and then another one, and try to expand this.
And hopefully soon in Asia.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Thank you. So Simon will be around. So your booth, in fact, is just behind us. You get that big purple ball on top of it. So thank you, Simon.
Thank you very much.
We jump to the next discussion. Thank you.